President Joe Biden, who campaigned on reversing Trump's tax cuts for the rich, who claimed to care so much about the working people of America, has now turned around and offered all sorts of ridiculous concessions to corporate Democrat Joe Manchin in the Senate. Now, these concessions don't really seem to move the needle much for Joe Manchin. He still hasn't committed to voting in favor of the budget reconciliation bill. Neither has Kyrsten Sinema, but we can now see clearly what direction this bill is going in. It will be watered down, and it will do away with many of the provisions that were not only popular, but incredibly necessary to improve Americans' lives. Now, Biden discussed a 1.75 to 1.9 trillion price tag for the sweeping spending package. Remember, the initial price tag was 6 trillion, then it was lowered to 3.5 trillion, and now we're talking about maybe if we're lucky, 1.9 trillion. While the number is not finalized, it is far closer to West Virginia Democratic Senator Joe Manchin's 1.5 trillion top line than Progressive's number, which was 3.5 trillion. Oh, thank God. I mean, thank God we're appeasing Senator Joe Manchin. Thank God. I mean, that's the most important thing here. Now, has he agreed to vote in favor of the reconciliation bill? No. But this story gets far worse. First off, corporate tax hikes? Gone. There will be no corporate tax hikes. Biden is willing to avoid increasing taxes on corporations. When Donald Trump came into office, the corporate tax rate was 35%. Because of his tax cuts for the rich, they were lowered to 21%. And then Biden, who claimed that he was going to completely reverse them, came out of the gate as soon as he was inaugurated, puts out a proposal saying, we won't raise it to 35% like it was before Trump came into office, but we'll raise it to 28%. And then you have Joe Manchin crying and whining about it. Not just Manchin, of course, Republicans, but remember, Democrats have a slim majority in Congress. If they really wanted to get something passed, they could. But you have Manchin and Sinema whining about increasing the corporate tax rate. At one point, Manchin's like, I don't know, maybe we could increase it to 25%, but no more than that. Now, forget about it. No corporate tax hikes. Washington Post reported that today. And so one of the major pay-fors for the budget reconciliation bill is cut. So if you're gonna cut the revenue that was meant to be raised to pay for the bill, what's gonna get cut from the bill? Well, I hope you guys are sitting down because it's a lot of really important stuff. Now, Biden informed House progressives that the final bill to expand the social safety net is expected to drop tuition-free community college. Oh, thank God, thank God. Yeah, you know, offering 2 years of free community college was just too much. I mean, you don't want American students to get too entitled, do you? I mean, who do they think they are? 2 years of free community college. I mean, that wasn't even a half measure. It was less than a half measure coming from Biden. But it was just the bare minimum. 2 years of free community college because we're drowning in student loan debt. $1.6 trillion in student loan debt. Debt that people cannot get rid of even if they file for bankruptcy thanks to Biden's bankruptcy bill. So it's debt that puts Americans, workers, in this awful position for the rest of their lives. And he was just willing to do the bare minimum to alleviate that. But now he's backed away because we've got to appease Joe Manchin. But he goes further. Moreover, Biden indicated, I can't believe this. Biden indicated that the child tax credit, a key Democratic priority, would likely be extended for one additional year, much shorter than what many in their party wanted. The child tax credit will also likely be means tested, keeping with what Manchin had wanted. Remember, he's the guy running the country. He's the president. He's the guy who apparently got elected in the executive branch, right? Unbelievable. The child tax credit was supposed to lift 50% of children out of poverty who are currently in poverty. So in my opinion, I would like our government to be a little more ambitious than that, but they can't even get that. They're not even willing to make the child tax credit, which is tremendously popular for obvious reasons, a permanent program. So instead of being permanent, now it will be limited to 1 year. Biden also indicated that the group, or to the group of progressives, I should say, that they would reduce the proposed funding for so-called home care for the elderly and disabled down to less than $250 billion. Democrats had wanted to keep the funding at $400 billion. I told you guys this was just gonna keep getting worse. I mean, think about where the priorities are. No, we need to provide less support in regard to elder care. No free community college. What are you talking about? We got to maintain the corporate tax cuts, a system that allows for the most profitable corporations in this country to not only get away with paying nothing in federal income taxes, but sometimes they get massive refunds after they file their taxes. I don't know, I mean, ordinary Americans don't really get those kinds of tax incentives. There are no loopholes. Ordinary Americans, they pay their fair share, and as soon as there's a program that's meant to offer tax incentives that help raise kids, no, we can't make that permanent. Nope, sorry, 1 year program max, if that. And by the way, Manchin, after all these concessions, still refuses to commit to vote in favor of this legislation. But there's more. The president told progressive lawmakers that negotiators are weighing reducing the duration of paid leave benefit outlined in the package to 4 weeks, down from the proposed 12 weeks. So now we're going from I think generous, common sense, paid family leave proposal to now, if you're lucky, maybe 3 weeks. Maybe, or 4 weeks. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at this point if the final piece of legislation doesn't even include that. 4 weeks, that's it, if you're lucky. And what about Medicare expansion, which by the way, Sinema is against, Manchin is against. The president said that they plan to keep an expansion of Medicare, which includes hearing, dental, and vision, in line with what the progressives want. I don't believe him. We'll see about that. But we know how powerful pharmaceutical companies are. We know that it was something that, again, Manchin and Sinema pushed back against, which is exactly why neither one of them, even after these concessions, has agreed to support the bill. So I don't believe Biden, because Biden is weak. He's fundamentally weak. He doesn't know how to use sticks, and he's getting bullied by the likes of Joe Manchin. It's really sad. It's incredibly pathetic. It's frankly quite embarrassing. Now, he allegedly also wants to keep the universal pre-K and the investments to help combat climate change. But remember, Joe Manchin personally profits and benefits from dirty coal to the tune of $500,000 a year. So if you plan on maintaining the climate provisions, do you really think that Manchin is gonna play ball? Of course he's not gonna play ball. I'm telling you all this because you can read the tea leaves. Those climate provisions ain't gonna make it. In fact, here's Manchin this morning, who was asked about the provision meant to tax carbon emissions. Let's watch.
Are you okay with the carbon tax?
No, we're not talking. That's we haven't talked about that.
Are you saying you oppose the climate tax, or that you just aren't talking about it right now?
The carbon tax.
Carbon tax.
Yeah, no, we're not. We're not. The carbon tax is not on the board at all right now. Okay.
That was the president of the United States. I mean, not officially, but Joe Biden's getting slapped around by Joe Manchin. He's selling out his own supporters, the people who went out of their way to canvass for him, to campaign for him, to support him. Even progressives who didn't really favor him as the Democratic candidate, went out of their way to make a robust case in favor of getting that man elected. Because hey, Donald Trump is such a threat. Donald Trump was a bad dude, okay? He cut corporate taxes, and Joe Biden said that he was gonna reverse that, but he didn't do it because he's a coward. The president of the United States is a coward. He gave Joe Manchin's wife a cushy little job, okay? Appointed her to a cushy little job, carrots. Where are the sticks, Biden? You're the president of the United States. But here's the problem. They're all emboldened to engage in this garbage because they all have the same corporate donors. Biden's cabinet is full of the corporate elite. There's a few good, appointments there. But at the end of the day, really, I mean, rhetorically speaking, Biden seems better than Manchin. But did he really want these provisions? Because I would argue that a politician, a president who genuinely wants to fundamentally change the country, who really wants to improve Americans' lives materially, wouldn't cower to Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin loses his mind the second a Democratic politician writes a strongly worded op-ed about him in a West Virginia newspaper. Do you know how easy it is to bully Joe Manchin? To beat him to submission politically? But he won't do it. Biden won't do it because he doesn't really want it. Either he doesn't really want it or he's just a coward, terrified that Manchin might leave the Democratic Party. So what is the establishment Democrats' case gonna be in 2020 when they want to get reelected? When they don't actually offer their constituents much to improve their lives? What is their case gonna be? More fear-mongering about Republican candidates? Good luck with that. Good luck with 2024. And we'll see how progressives play this, but honestly, it's really not looking good.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.